Hello, Oracles. How are we doing today? It is Friday Night Live, and we've got Brian here from My Tesla Weekend. We are
Howdy.
awaiting Jen Strahan to come on as well. And today we're just going to kind of have some discussions about why the stock was down today, some information I got from my job today as far as material and material costs going forward for Tesla and other areas of the world. And other than that, if you guys have any questions, just throw them on up in the comments, and we will have a nice chat tonight. So how's
So
it going,
Tim,
Brian?
Tim, I'm doing pretty good. There's nothing really in the news about Elon or Twitter these days, so it's very quiet. It's very quiet.
Yeah, no drama at all. It's
No.
been not much to talk about. It's been interesting, but yeah, it's with the stock dropping today, I was trying to figure it out, and as we were discussing before, I looked at the fact that I got on my meeting and the stock was up, and the meeting got over, and the stock was way down, and the market was not, and trying to figure out why. And so, I don't know if it was because of the tax credit thing going on in Germany. I don't know if Elon sold. I checked Form 4s before we hopped on, and there was nothing. I don't know why the massive underperformance today and why all of a sudden, middle of the day, the stock came barreling down with nothing.
So you were mentioning just a second ago that you had some interesting information about supplies looking out towards the future. Tell us about that.
So yeah, so in my meeting today, so what if you guys aren't aware, I work in a company that does construction, retail, and rentals. And so we supply materials for large jobs around the state of Connecticut and outside in the whole New England region. We actually supplied a bunch of the Amazon warehouses as well. So we were discussing a lot of stuff, and we know a lot about commodity prices when it comes to piping, PVC pipe, ductile iron pipe, when it comes to concrete materials. All of that stuff I get a lot of good information about, especially when it comes to pricing. So on the pricing side of things, there are a lot of people who are still going to be going up on pricing next year for the materials. So that was expected. But when we're looking at lead times for stuff, lead times for like ductile iron, we are in a good position with a 36-week lead time. We have other manufacturers who are 14 months. So this is across the board when it comes to materials, is that there is a massive lead time. 2023 is going to be an extremely difficult year. So something else we had discussed was the fact that there was a stimulus package that was signed out in the middle of November for $1.2 trillion. Connecticut is getting $5.3 billion of that. And so what is going to end up happening is over the next 5 years, that money is going to get dispersed. So the problem with this is going to be that is going to cause more massive inflation for the next 5 years when it comes to material costs. So we are seeing some costs coming down. We truly are. I can't remember what it was. There was a lot of the plastic piping is coming down. That's all coming down. A lot of the wire material that we're getting is coming down, like wire mesh and rebar. Those prices are all coming down. So we've seen some prices coming down significantly. However, there's other that are going to be going up. And we already know about others that are going to be going up even more in January. Problem we are facing with our company right now is we would be, I guess you could say we're growing, but we're retail growing. So we're not huge in the retail growing area. But because of that, we are looking at the fact that our sales this year were through the roof, like the best growth we've ever seen in the company whatsoever. To be able to sustain that growth for a company like us in retail is not sustainable. So we're concerned next year that we are not going to be able to keep up this pace. When it comes to somebody like Tesla, they can do that. They've planned ahead. My company does not do a very good job planning ahead. So, we do a good job of working with vendors, but planning further ahead like that, not like Elon at all.
So one thing I was just looking at is copper pricing, which, got pretty high there for a little bit. It's come back down to pre-pandemic levels. But the spot price of copper and the price of finished copper are pretty detached. What are you seeing in terms of copper and pricing and all that?
So copper pricing has come down. I only know that, I don't know from our purchase standpoint, but from the scrap metal standpoint, because we do take a lot of our scrap metal and trade it in, those prices have come down significantly. So trade-in scrap prices are way down, which usually indicates that actual copper prices are way down also. So there are a lot of metal materials that are coming down. Ductile, on the other hand, and some of it is, so the shortages that we're hearing about are bottlenecks going on with, just shipping. Like some of this stuff, the companies have the product in stock, they can't ship it. They can't find trucking to ship it. Some people are labor. They don't have enough labor to actually produce it. They have the material, but not enough labor. Some of the stuff is just sitting on ships off of the coast because they cannot get in. So there's a lot of different things that are going on that are causing these bottlenecks, and it's not all the same. And this is going to be a struggle, I think, that we're going to still be facing in 2023. And I think the problem is because we have such massive lead times on some of this stuff, and the prices are going to be going up. If you have the inventory, you'll be fine. Tesla will be able to have the inventory, they'll be fine. People who don't are going to struggle. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see in 2023. So some information that is non-disclosed about other manufacturers out there about who has orders placed and who does not. Some companies are going to be struggling next year. If they have not placed orders for parts ahead of time, they're going to be hurting next year. And we have 69 people watching. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. The if you're if you're a Rivian or a Lucid or kind of really even a Ford or a GM, if you're not placing your orders, if you're not getting them in, you're going to have a problem. But if you are a small company like Lucid and you're only planning on making a few thousand units, I guess they're hedging their bets and just hoping that supplies for such a small order would be available. But you forget there's a lot of irreplaceable components in a car, and you only need to be missing one to not be able to ship. So
right.
if you've got, yeah, and copper is a commodity. You can always get it, but you might end up paying more. Did you hear how high? So first of all, did you know how cheap it is to get a 40-foot shipping container from Shanghai to Long Beach? It's typically in the $3,000 to $4,000 range, sometimes even less. That's insanely cheap.
Yes.
And during the crunch, it got up to $30,000 for the same container.
Yeah, we dealt with some of that ourselves. Same thing.
Sure.
And yeah. So some of those shipping containers, and it's like, you know what, you if you need the product, you got to get it. But then that cost, you can only absorb so much. The rest of it has to get passed off. Well,
and I was talking one night I'd gone to Walmart, and they were, the racetrack that goes around, they call it the racetrack, the main aisle where they put all the special deals.
Oh, yeah.
They were unloading clothing, summer clothing, straight to the clearance racks. And I asked, why would you? Because the ships finally came in and it's too late. We just got to move it. We can't warehouse an entire Walmart summer collection worth of stuff for a year. That's too much.
Oh, yeah. That's so true. Especially when you get to the seasonal stuff. For us, we have the same thing when it comes to our rental equipment. We've got stuff that's coming in, like snowblowers. We are getting our last order coming in about a month, which isn't bad. But the bulk of our order that we wanted, our backup order, is coming in next summer. What good is that going to do us? Like, hey, who wants a snowblower in the summer? Yay!
And that's the thing is they're bulky. They take up a tremendous amount of space, and you have to decide: are we going to blow them out at rock bottom prices? Let's talk about the news out of Berlin in terms of pricing.
Yes, and you were giving me some great info on that because I did not have a chance to really dive into that. So give me some information on this.
You bet. So what happened is Germany has an exceptionally generous EV credit. It's something like 6,000 euros with very few strings attached. And they're cutting it back by, I think, $3,600. So what Tesla has said is, place your order. If we can't ship it this year, if it comes to you in 23, we'll make up the difference. We'll just discount it by that much. So this is a temporary backdoor discount. We're not cutting the price. We can still do that in the future. This is a temporary cut. If you place a real order right now, you've got 7 weeks to do it, baby. And so it's going to get some people off the fence. And we saw in Shanghai when they cut prices, they only cut the price by 2,000 to 5,000, depending on the model. The orders were so many that it crashed the site.
Yeah.
And there were news reports of people canceling their orders with rivals, companies like BYD and NIO. We're seeing orders drop off because, well, I mean, the price difference was pretty, but I'd really rather have the Tesla.
Yeah.
And so and what they also did was they removed in Shanghai, they removed the silver option from free and made that once again a paid option. So that $2,000 you're saving might only be 1,000.
Yeah.
Depending on the color choice.
Yeah. And so these moves, and I'm wondering if they'll do that in the US. I don't know, because mine right now, tomorrow is the last day, and I've been given the notification that I cannot put the vehicle on hold again. If I do, my order is canceled. And that's how they're dealing with it in the US. So, I mean, I don't know if they'll end up doing the same thing like they're doing in Germany, where they're going to float that for anybody who has an order now. That'd be a huge chunk. I mean, the difference over in Germany is the sales are not the same as they are in the US. So it would be a smaller chunk up. And here's Jen.
Hello. Hey, hello, Jen.
Oh, hi, surprise,
Hey guys,
you're on.
can you guys hear me? I don't
Yes,
know if
we
you can hear
can.
me. Yeah, I can't hear you.
Oh no.
Oh, that's not
I
good.
know. I can see you're talking now.
Can you read lip?
I'll figure it out.
What you should do is go on and watch the version on YouTube. That way we have an unconscionably long delay.
I was actually thinking about doing that so I could see what we look like.
I figured it out.
There we go. I assure you, Tim, we do not look better on YouTube than here. So I apologize for that.
Jen, I think we got an echo from you. Do you have headphones?
I don't. Let's see if hold on. I'm gonna turn you guys down.
Yeah, that often does the trick.
Okay. How's that?
That's better.
I hear no echo. It sounds great.
Oh, yeah, we're good. Excellent. Nice
Perfect. Okay.
So how
Hi,
are you doing,
guys.
Jen? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
We made it. All of us.
We did.
So far.
So we were just talking, Jen, about the small price decreases in Shanghai and Berlin. And also before that, we were talking about material prices, copper, parts, other such things. So you're all caught up.
Okay. All right.
Excellent.
Exciting.
Let's see. I'm going to jump over here. There's a joke of the day. Let's see. Imagine missing a payment on a Tesla and the car drives itself back to the dealership. That would be
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry. Goodbye.
I mean, you
Didn't
joke,
happen in
but the day is coming.
Transformers, the car just drove itself off.
Yeah.
I know, but imagine the day when the car drives itself to you.
Yes.
Like when it delivers itself and we're not worried about like how they're going to get delivered.
Yes, that was something I had seen somebody else tweet as well, which is awesome because it's like, hey, I ordered my car and it's on its way to you, and it just shows up in your driveway. You wake up in the morning and there it is. That would be awesome.
Yeah. The missing pieces, great. Once we've got level 4-ish, 5-ish cracked, they can deliver themselves to the port or the loading yard. They can drive themselves up onto it. A Tesla bot can secure them down. Make sure take a photo that goes back to Dojo to confirm that the secure straps and all look great. And then it goes to the delivery center, unloads, heads to your house. The paper's already printed out on the passenger seat, and away we go.
Oh, and let's not forget that Tesla owns its own cargo ships as well, so we don't have to worry about paying for those. So it's all taken care of.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting.
So Farzad and I were talking about that. That's something that they will most likely get into. Costco has their own. So Tesla having their own, and then thinking about the fact that they can be running off of solar. I mean, there's plenty of sunlight out there in the middle of the ocean. So
Amazon owns a fleet of their own planes.
Yeah. So it would make a lot of sense for Tesla to do that and have everything be automated.
I don't know if you heard, but during lockdown, Amazon saw the coming crunch because they're very good at shipping and logistics. And so they bought a fleet of very small cargo ships, retrofitted them to handle containers with their own cranes, and then made deals with all the small ports that don't have cranes to offload there instead, where there's 1 or 2 days wait instead of a week or 2 or 3 or 6. And so they were able to basically mosquito fleet it and get all the shipping they needed done.
Oh, interesting. That's, that is the price of ingenuity right there. You think about it, you need to make something happen, you make it happen.
Yeah.
So the big question of the day is, why did Tesla drop like it did? And here we go, Eric. Tesla dropped immediately following the Barron interview, and I only got through part of that. So if you guys got to watch it, we'll discuss some of that.
I'm at 14 minutes in right now, so I have not got enough information to reach a conclusion.
Where did you guys find it? I didn't see it on YouTube.
Tesla Intelligence UK's channel on YouTube.
Yep, that's the only one that I've seen it on. Yeah, the volume is extremely low.
Yeah,
extremely low. So yeah, and it's funny though, because Elon did tweet about the advertising issues on Twitter, and it's like, but why are we tying advertising for Twitter with Tesla? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Because it's the Muskverse. When the first astronauts went up on Dragon, they took a Model X to the launch pad, and that made the stock go up.
Yeah. And then here it is, Musk sounding pretty desperate. Also said he was working 120 hours a week. He appeared beaten down. And he did say that he took a red eye in that night to get to the interview. So he was pretty tired. So this is probably a concern that, he's spending so much time with Twitter and not paying attention to Tesla. Like, the way I've always viewed this when it comes to the Twitter thing is if he feels comfortable with the team at Tesla running it without him, that's a good sign. Like, he doesn't need to be in the factory sleeping on the floor like he was before. He can now be,
he wasn't spending a lot of time at Tesla anyways. I think most of his time was at SpaceX, wasn't it? Or for SpaceX?
Yeah. And for him, because of the businesses and because he puts the right teams in place, he spends the time where he needs it. So if he's needed in a certain place at a certain time, he's there. So right now it's Twitter. Tesla doesn't need him right now. We're just hitting the second month of a quarter. Not a big deal. So I'm sure when we get to the end of the year, he'll be spending more time over at Tesla. When we get to the beginning of September, when they're going to be doing, or beginning of December, when they're going to be doing another launch for SpaceX, he'll be over there. But again, it's his teams that are doing the work. It's not him.
There are different times when he's required at different places. And I would say during the Cybertruck ramp, he will absolutely be back at Tesla 60, 70, 100 hours a week. Between now and then, I think he'll have some time at SpaceX where he's on the Starship production line, again, more than full time. But for right now, it does appear that all of his big ventures are in a position where they can kind of handle themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And here's a good point here from PowerPoint Paladin. If Elon can't make Twitter profitable, he will have to sell Tesla shares to pay off loans. That, I guess, would be a legitimate concern, but he's got enough financial backers. And it's not like, I don't think he presented it to anybody in a manner of, hey, we're going to be profitable this year. I think it was, hey, it's going to be 3 to 5 years before we can turn this thing around.
Sure. So, and I think some of his craziness that we've seen in the last few days on Twitter is likely to be reined in a bit by some of those investors, because he only put up something like 25% of the purchase price. Yeah. The rest is being handled by institutions and big money who, if they are concerned about these numbers, they will step up and say, come on, man, you need to tone it down.
But well, he has such an all-star team in there with him. He's got Jason Kalakanakis and David Sachs. And I want to say he's got Mr. Beast in there with him. Yeah. I mean, he's got like an amazing all-star team in there with him. I would be like thrilled to invest in a company that has those 4 people working in it. So I don't know what anybody is worried about. I mean, those guys have stood up some of the most profitable companies. I want to say that Jason Kalakanakis was involved in Uber. Of course, David Sachs was at PayPal with Elon. I mean, Elon did PayPal. He did Tesla. He did SpaceX. He does not make bad companies. He makes great companies. He makes amazing companies. He's actually made the best company on earth. I don't know why anybody's worried. And he's going to get everybody to pay $8 a month for Twitter. Twitter was not making good money before. They were not a fantastic company. And now all the people who already have blue checks, they're going to want to keep them. There's a lot of those people. They're going to be paying $8 a month. I already signed up for Twitter Blue today. And I tweeted it out. I was like, well, it was only $5 today. I wish they would already change the price, but I was like, $5 for free speech, like I'll take it, So I think it's going to be very surprising to see how fast Twitter does turn a profit.
Yeah, well, I did the same thing earlier this week. Just feeling the atmosphere on the platform itself. I already found myself spending more time on there. I do plan on, as he gets content out there for content creators to actually be able to build businesses on there, I want to be a part of that as well. So I immediately signed up for it as well. And I know we're not the only ones. Thinking about just 2 of the 3 of us on here did it. Did you do it, Brian? Did you?
No, I'm waiting to see what the actual details are. I think it's going to have to be revised significantly before it goes out, because the first thing is, if you start stripping blue check marks from people who are already verified, that's going to open the door for scammers and spammers to have a whole new level of ambiguity that will result in people being ripped off. But also, it's the idea of paying $8 to get priority is magical for someone like me. I will rise to the top in ways that I couldn't otherwise. But as a reader, it means you're going to, one guy I was talking to on Twitter said, no, this will be great for everyone. It's a win-win. I said, no, it's a win for me, because you're going to have to see my tweets. And I know you don't want to, because you don't follow me.
But he's
like,
but even as somebody who's on there for free, they can still dictate what they do and don't watch. It's the same algorithms that you see for Facebook and Instagram. Things that you like and don't like are if you don't pay attention to it, you're not going to see it. You're
Right.
only going to.
But if I'm appearing above your tweets when yours are more insightful or relevant, I mean, that's great for me, but I don't think that's great for the readers.
But you can already do that with Twitter Professional. So you can sign up for, if I'm right, I think I'm right because I looked at it. You can sign up for Twitter Professional and you can promote your tweets. So you can already pay money to promote tweets and everything. And people do that. And it's super annoying. But, so this is just a way where we can like verify people. So people can't, and people do this all the time. I did not realize this because I don't do this. I tweet under my own name. And it's fine if people tweet under a pseudonym. I don't have a problem with that. But people will run several different profiles. And so they'll hop on like a different profile so you don't know who they are. And they'll come in and criticize you if they don't like something you're saying, but they don't want to say it under their profile. And I think that's kind of
that's shady. And I have no doubt that happens everywhere, but it's like, just come out and say it. Like it drives me nuts.
Own it. Own your shit.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And you'll notice with the Tesla Q crowd, they almost all have new accounts, very few followers, and no identity you could track down whatsoever. They're not real.
Well, because they just keep making new ones all the time. They'll make a new one every month. They'll make a couple new ones every month, and they'll burn them. Well, they're not going to be able to do that anymore, and that it has real value.
Well, they will, but we'll be able to see through it a little better.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Or we'll be able to filter it. We'll be like, I don't want to see anybody without, a check.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's good. And
unless I manually add them, sure.
Yeah, and somebody had brought up a great one about gamifying how Twitter's going to pay out. And really putting it into like a gamer perspective and say, hey, if you log in for X number of days in a row or you tweet for X number of days in a row, you get certain credits or whatever it's going to be. And like, that's actually brilliant to have, and especially if he's going to turn Dogecoin into a currency that's going to be over on Twitter, to be able to put that over there and, hey, you can earn yourself maybe a tenth of a Dogecoin or whatever it is for yourself as you're going through. I think that's going to be brilliant and a great way. The real turn that we're going to see for the whole platform is when he starts making it profitable for content creators. That is going to be the game changer for the whole platform.
It's going to be enormous. That will be huge because it's going to take out YouTube, because YouTube is having they're having major problems with the comments, and then, and the same thing with Facebook and YouTube is all of the censorship. Like nobody likes, everybody's over censorship. So if he is the only platform that's like not really censored.
Yeah. And that's going to be a tricky line to walk because, what we want is maximum freedom with minimal spam trolling and hate speech. But I saw a great term for the blue check mark. It's hate speech because it's $8. But if I didn't know that Mr. Beast was on board, I don't know if you know this, but everything he touches turns to gold.
Oh, yes. Did you see what he was giving away for Halloween?
No.
That's awesome. He was giving away iPhones, stacks of $10,000.
I guess I did see it. Was part of it giving a bunch to schools and whatnot?
Well, I just saw.
Who knows? Because he's always doing it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just saw the video of him at his house, just literally handing it to kids and putting it in their bags.
Oh, I didn't see that. Wow.
Did you see the one where he ordered a pizza and he tipped the house?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he was the first person to make $1 billion from YouTube.
That's awesome. See, and that's the kind of stuff that I would love to do too. I try to do that.
$1 billion?
Well, yes, but like for me, from what I've earned myself, the very little that I've made so far, I'm like, when I go out, I might take my son to the same restaurant all the time. So when it gets to the holiday season, I usually tip twice whatever the bill was, just to thank them for their service because they've taken care of us for the year.
Wow.
That's so sweet.
Huh.
Let's see. Oh, what do we got here?
We're like, that's nice. We're like, we're not.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of like, buffering.
It would be nice if I could tip the girl a house, but unfortunately, I can only give her like $100. So hey,
that's awesome, and especially if you're a regular, that's fantastic.
So if we're guessing what you're drinking, I'm going to say it's a Cabernet.
We're guessing.
Oh, me?
Cab Stav or a wine cooler? No, not a wine cooler.
Don't tell us yet. Wine cooler, come on.
I'm going to go with Pinot Noir.
I mean, because it's red. Yeah, no, it's a Malbec.
Okay.
I don't even know what that is.
It's dry. Good. It's red.
Malbec is good. I prefer the Pinot Noir myself. That's probably what I'll get for our chat on Tuesday. So for you guys who don't know, we are doing Ladies Night Tuesday night. This Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, we have Ladies Night. We'll be having Jen on. We'll have Alexandra, Boomer Mama. We're gonna have Eva McMillan will be on as well. It's gonna be an awesome night because it's my birthday and I get my ladies. It's gonna be Timmy's Angels.
That's a great lineup.
Oh yeah, very excited for that.
I'm still enjoying the basking in the glory of the Moody's upgrading or the S&P upgrade.
Oh,
because she pushed for that. Me and you and a lot of others got behind it, and it gets to the point where it's unavoidable. So what I see going on with the stock right now, and I keep saying this to Alexandra, is we're just loading the spring. Yeah, you can push it down all you want, but the numbers keep getting better. The deliveries keep increasing. The market keeps expanding. There's only so much you can hold it back before it's going to just pop.
Yeah, and as I was explaining on my video this morning was, we've seen the two big parabolic moves that Tesla has made. They kind of go sideways for a little while, then they go parabolic. They go sideways, they go parabolic. Thinking about the fact that back then it was only retail investors that were making go parabolic. Now we have investment grade rating. Now we're going to have big money and retail investors for the next time we go parabolic. Think about how big it's going to go then.
That's interesting. Yeah,
I did ask Alexandra if she could get with Moody's and have them give the upgrade on my birthday. So perhaps on Tuesday we can get the upgrade, get the election, my birthday, ladies' night. I mean, that's going to be the quadfecta right there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can handle that.
I don't think so. I'm definitely going to need wine, and I'm not a big drinker, so I'll be drunk after one glass. It'll be great.
Yes, I've got nothing but the good stuff for me today.
I've got some water. Let me see.
You guys are so healthy. That's good. That's good.
I wouldn't go that far, but thank you.
Well, so I'm drinking water because I had 3 giant wraps, 4 cookies, and 2 plates of pasta salad today. That was just lunch.
Wow.
I had bacon, eggs, and blueberries today.
That was it.
I had ribs.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's delicious.
I know. We're all like, we fast. I mean, I'm going to eat later. I have food for later.
How long do these go? Do we have any questions from the peanut gallery that we should address
here? So 2008 Apple shares fell 50% until the bottom was reached. Tesla reached this level already, but continues to fall. That's fine. Because of the fact that we are where we're at right now, knowing the way Tesla's moving, I'm really not concerned about it because looking at the PE, as you're saying here, what it's going to come down to for PE and whatever the market makers decide the PE should be at this time is what it's going to end up hitting. But because Tesla's growing so fast, every single quarterly report that we get is going to springboard the stock up to meet that PE ratio of whatever they decide it's going to be. So,
and to me, PE ratios only matter once you're no longer in growth mode. And there's a lot of worlds left to conquer before you even get into autonomy or the bot. Just the energy sector, auto bidder, the virtual power plants, the solar, just the software as a service. We know that premium connectivity is going to cost $10 a month, or just connectivity is going to cost $10 a month, but starting in 2030. Well, how many cars are they going to have on the road in 2030? 5 million? 10? All of a sudden you've got 10, let's just say 5 million cars. You got 50 million a month in revenue coming in. If that was its own startup, you'd invest.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of SaaS, kind of SaaS business things going on with Tesla. So you're right about that. There's going to be a lot of revenue streams. So, it's not even like they're just selling a product. They're selling they have these streams that they're setting up. It's almost like how we're setting up our retirements, how anybody should set up their retirement is making different streams of income. And that's what Tesla's doing. They're not just doing a one-off, they're setting us all up for the future.
Oh yeah. And then think about, tying it back in with Twitter and their revenue. Guess what? You're going to have Twitter be your default platform in your Tesla, and you're going to be paying for that revenue stream as well. So Tesla will have that in there. So it's going to help each other make money. So they're literally helping themselves.
When Jen, when you were talking about monetizing Twitter, Omar from Whole Mars Catalog was saying that he's had something like 1.3 billion views, and his tips come out to something like $80 a month. That is, as you were pointing out, not very good. That does not motivate people like Wolf Financial, who does 40 hours a week of live spaces. They're not getting paid except by maybe somebody signing up for some premium services they offer off platform. And if people are going off platform to make their money, you're going to lose out. That's what YouTube's big mistake was not allowing creators to get paid until they reach certain thresholds. That opened the door for Patreon, and you can't put that genie back in the bottle.
Yeah.
And Elon is really good about learning from the mistakes of others and improving. I mean, everything that Elon does, he makes better. I mean, it's just true. I understand that some people don't love the way that he says certain things, because with his genius comes like a little bit of unawareness because he's so in his head. But if you understand that and where he's coming from, he really has a kind heart and he wants good things. And his intention is good. And you look at his track record, I mean, he's phenomenal. So really, if you look at like WeChat in China, that's really what he wants to do, is make another WeChat, which I believe he will do with Twitter and then make it even better. It's going to destroy all the other platforms. They're not going to be able to keep up, just like none of the car manufacturers can keep up with Tesla. I mean, he was the horse in the back of the race and no one can even see him anymore now.
Oh, yeah. And thinking about the fact that he has Mr. Beast on board and nobody knows more about YouTube and the algorithms and how that works than Mr. Beast. So being able to tap into that resource to be able to come over to Twitter, it's...
Well, and don't forget that the other two guys, David Sachs and Jason Calacanis, have one of the highest rated podcasts on Spotify. The All In podcast. If you're not listening to the All In podcast, you're missing out. And they'll drop one tomorrow. I'm sure I listen to them on Saturday mornings, not to pitch another, platform. YouTube.
If they're good, they're good.
Maybe
we'll have me on one day. That's fine.
Are you familiar with Mr. Beast Burger?
Mm-mm.
It is the 64th largest fast food chain in the world.
What?
Yes, and you've never heard of it because it kind of doesn't exist. What happens, he's got the app, it's all built, it's all ready to go. If you sell burgers, come sign up to be a Mr. Beast burger. And you can, if you don't want it competing with your burgers, it just goes out with Uber Eats or whatever. And you can choose whether it's for pickup or just delivery. And there are over 1,000 locations because it's not a special burger. It's a special name and people are buying it. It's your burger. It's your inventory. The menu is so simple that I guarantee you, if you have burgers, you have everything you need to make it. Wow. They have a grilled cheese sandwich. And because some places don't have bread, it's on an inside out bun. That's it.
I mean, that is brilliant.
And, if Elon's really smart, he'll allow creators to also cultivate like a store, like Amazon. Amazon, you can have an Amazon store and you can connect that with a YouTube channel. Have you ever seen that where YouTube creators have a store?
Oh yeah, I have my own. Yeah.
Right. And so if he does that and he allows like drop shipping and everything, I mean, I could definitely see, I can see it. If I can see it, Elon sees it because I am not as smart as Elon. And right. I can see Twitter taking over Amazon, Facebook, YouTube easily.
Oh yeah. He'll have a built-in
maybe
Shopify
Pinterest. Pinterest is the one where I'm like, I really like Pinterest as its own platform. It's the only one that showed really good earnings out of all the socials. It's their partnership with Etsy is fantastic. It was the only one where I was like, I feel like they're going to keep growing. They're doing great things. There's no negativity because there's no words. It's just pictures, really, So you're just like, oh, it makes me feel good, and you want to buy stuff because you're always looking for like, I don't know, clothes and doing stuff to your house. And you're like, I like that lighting. Let me click on it and just order it because it's easy, and I don't have time to go to Home Depot. I mean, they're smart on Pinterest. So if he can somehow get that too, could you imagine what's the TAM? What's the TAM for all four of those platforms?
Yeah.
Because that's the TAM for the new Twitter.
Yeah. It's going to be unbelievable when we actually see what's going on. And think about just the changes that have been made in just 1 week, and they haven't even finished having their meeting. Like Elon said, we're not going to see anything real big coming out of this probably till the end of the month. They've got to have meetings. They've got to discuss these things before they do stuff, but they've already made some moves in a week, and we've seen major differences. So
what moves?
Yeah, I mean, they lost a couple of advertisers, sure, whatever. Yeah. That's temporary because you know what? Advertisers want to be wherever we are. Okay. If there are eyeballs on Twitter, they're coming back because that's where the eyeballs are. They're going on the eyeballs. Okay. They might come back quietly. They're going to come back. Meanwhile, I signed up for Twitter Blue. You signed up for Twitter. How many people signed up for Twitter Blue that weren't already on Twitter Blue?
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to shake out pretty quick.
And I've already had a few people of my friends who usually aren't on much of social media. And because Elon took over, they're now on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's bringing in a lot of people who aren't even on social media. And the only people who are leaving aren't even leaving. They're just bitching. So they're not even leaving the platform. And those people who are left for advertising are leaving because they're cranky and they're going to come back.
And if you hate Elon so much that you're so concerned that he's going to ban you that you will leave the platform, guess what? You just made Twitter better all on your own.
Yeah. I mean, it truly is. I'm very excited to see where this is all going to go.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm like, sometimes the trash takes itself out. I'm like, bye.
Yeah. Seriously. But really, all the people who said, I'm definitely quitting, looked like throwaway accounts. And anyone who was real who did that, the only actual person I've seen leave was Amber Heard. Which the world is still mourning the loss of, I'm sure.
Oh,
no one misses her.
Sadness.
No.
All right, let's see, Brian. Here, we got a question for you. What's the latest on Shanghai 2?
Oh, I assume they mean the second, as yet undisclosed Shanghai plant.
Yes.
Wuwa, the drone pilot, has been covering a number of potential locations where work is taking place that could be it, but none of them appear to be it because when Tesla does the work, invariably you'll find indications like Tesla hard hats and signage. So we don't yet know if or where, but last we heard, it's still something that is going to happen and it will be within proximity. I assume it won't happen until the compact model launches. And I think when the compact model launches, we're finally going to see the thing I keep predicting, which is the compact model is coming and it's also available now. So
yes,
because that would absolutely hurt the sales of 3 and Y.
Yeah, that's something Farzad and I were talking about on our live stream, was just that. And actually, we got the confirmation again from Elon on the Ron Barron interview, just saying, he can't disclose all of it yet, but they're definitely working on it. We obviously heard about it on the earnings call, and then he reiterated again with Ron Barron that we are going to be seeing it, and it's most likely going to be 2024. Gary Black seems to think that we're actually going to see that before the robo-taxi. But I've been saying 2024 makes the most perfect sense. And same thing about the timeline. We've already seen just the little price rumor drop that we saw and how it affected the Shanghai deliveries and the demand over there. If you come out with a lower priced model, you're going to lose a lot of Model 3 business. So it's going to have to be an almost instant, hey, by the way, here's the new model. By the way, you can order it tomorrow. So I have a feeling that's going to be, and they'll probably end up getting to a point where maybe they're going to ramp it up and have a whole lot already produced, just so they can start pumping them out there. So as soon as people place the orders, they can start delivering them right away. Because the demand on that is going to be so much higher than the other vehicles they have right now.
I don't know about that because, I could have ordered a Model 3 or Model Y, and I ordered the Model Y. And there's a big difference in price, but I drive a Lexus RX 350 right now, and I love an SUV, and I cannot go smaller than an SUV. I can't. I gotta have my space for shopping and hauling things, and just gotta pack everything. That we don't have kids. It's just my husband and I still need all that space. So, and a lot of other suburban women are going to feel the same way, especially women that drive Suburbans. I don't drive Suburban, obviously, but so I think for a lot of Americans out there, and especially if they have children, they're not buying that compact. And I'm sure a lot of people will, though. So there are going to be people that want a smaller car because maybe they live in the city, or maybe they have a smaller budget. They don't want to spend as much on a vehicle. What if the new compact is 2 seats in the front, and then the back seats, it's they fold, so you either have cargo room or a back seat, and that would make a lot of sense. So then if you want to be able to do passengers and cargo, you have to do a Model 3 or a Y.
Yeah, but I think about it over in China. For them, it's a totally different world. So they would just go with the compact car. They would just go with a smaller vehicle because a lot of that is price related.
No, I don't know about that. They are big on labels. I mean, if you look at like the Chinese, if you look at them socially, they're really big into like designer labels and who's got what and image and stuff. Like, because they're in their society right now, they're still coming up as far as like moving in socioeconomic classes and just like how their society is working right now. So I think like image really matters quite a bit right now. You can see it in when people are buying their cars, right? And they pose with them. They have like flowers, they have teddy bears. I mean, it's a big deal for them. It's true though. I mean, that's just how their culture is working right now. And so if you look at the Chinese culture, they are going to kind of measure like, oh, you know, yeah, you have the Model 2, which, I mean, are we really going to call it a number 2? I don't know. But, and then someone else is going to be like, well, I have a Y. And then some real big players can be like, well, I have an X and you guys suck.
Yeah, I have the S Plaid. I have the X Plaid because those are going to be those were released. Or they're releasing tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's always going to be buyers for the higher level vehicles because it's going to be a status symbol.
Right, but then I think about the people who cannot afford that status symbol, so they just want the status of a Tesla. And so now
or they're going to want the full self-drive. They're going to want the tech. They're going to want it's fun. They're awesome. Teslas are amazing. If you've driven one, they're fantastic.
Oh yeah, I love it.
The long-standing rumor I've heard about the compact. Well, first of all, Elon did say flat out it's not going to be called a 2. Yeah. So I've been calling it the Q because, you know, Tesla Q. Bankruptcy's imminent. Of course, it has been since 2012. Trust me. The long-standing rumor I've heard is that each factory will have its own variant. So Berlin will design theirs, Shanghai will build theirs, and Texas probably will build theirs. And it'll be the same platform, but with a different form factor. So you might get a hot hatchback in Europe. You might get a 4-door compact in China. In America, I can only assume you'll get a Truckla. I don't know what you'll get. But
get like an El Camino.
A little, I don't know, an '84 Accord. Who knows? But
I remember when I was in Australia. Now this is 20 years ago, but when I was in Australia, I remember seeing like El Caminos, the Ford Falcons, like they were everywhere. That's what everyone drove there. There were not trucks because gas prices were high and nobody wanted to drive a truck. The only trucks that we saw there were trucks that were like would take people on tours to places. That was it. Everybody else just drove like an El Camino style vehicle. It was wild.
That makes sense. I mean, and in Germany, you know, the hatchback reigns supreme. That and the station wagon. It rules the Autobahn.
Yeah. The other form factor that I think would sell like hotcakes would be like a Miata. It's a little budget. They're fun. They're incredibly
fun. I have a 91. I have an original 91. It's so cute.
It's like a Model S 0.5. It's like half of a Model S. It's adorable.
Well, isn't that the why am I blanking now? Because I had half a glass of wine and now I don't know. What's the really nice car we got coming out?
Roadster.
Thank you. Yeah. And it flies according to
yes. But that's also a $200,000 car.
Yes. With a $5,000 down payment.
And 600 miles of range.
Yes. Is that with or without the flying?
Without, but I assume that part is separate.
I wonder how far it's going to fly. I just want the deets. I just want to know what the details are of that and Cybertruck. Can we get a Cybertruck day?
Well, that's the big one. Is I'm hoping that we get it before the end of the year, at least the order page. You know, so I can go in there, I can configure what it is, see what the pricing is. I think getting that before the end of the year would be really nice to get. Whether we're going to get it or not, who knows? But that to me would be the big push is getting the Cybertruck order page up.
I predict you won't see that until April because
it will be that long.
I think it will be that long because with very first production starting mid, that would be June, July. I think pricing uncertainty remains, and I think even configuration uncertainty remains. But also, I don't think they'd want to drop it before the March production and earnings. So it might even be late March. Late April would be my guess. And 3 months is still plenty of time to get. They'll know what their ramp is going to look like. They'll know it'll just be a lot more certain then.
True. And I figured they were going to start production in Q2 as well. I thought it was going to be more like probably late April into May. So I think just the timing of production ramp is really what's going to matter. But either way, we should be hitting volume production by the end of next year either way. So,
but if they're tooling now, don't you think they would know what they're making? I mean, just tell me what you're making. Maybe not the prices, but like, what does it do? He keeps saying it's got all these amazing features. Like, tell me what it does. I mean, yeah. I feel like I guessed with the cyber whistle. I had tweeted like forever ago because I went down a rabbit hole. I was like, why a whistle? What's the whistle about? I don't know. And then got obsessed. Found out that it's required for marine like travels. Like you have to have a whistle. Did you know that you need a whistle if you have a boat? I didn't know that. And I was like, is it a boat? So, but he did say it'll float, you know, yeah. You can temporarily use it as a boat. I think more so than a regular Tesla. I think it's amphibious.
Yes. And as he said, it's got to cross the river down there. So it's a bit of a ways. So I would imagine, you know, you could do something amphibious with it. And I know I had seen some video the other day of, I think it was a Hummer. Maybe it was an H1 that had a propeller on the back of it. So it was literally driving on the water and then came out of the water and started driving on the beach. So I can see that happening. Very excited to see this. All I know is that because I know, like you, Jen, I'm most likely going to be pushing off my Model Y until next year, and I'm going to have to reorder if that's the case. Maybe I just wait and see what the Cybertruck's going to do. Because if I just go with the top end Cybertruck, maybe I get pushed closer to the front of the line. Maybe I can get that by 2024. Do I even bother getting a Model Y or just wait for the Cybertruck? I don't know. So many options.
I'm taking the Model Y no matter what. My mom told me, Jennifer, if your Model Y comes to get delivered before the new year, she says, I'll take it.
Oh, okay.
You order another one. I said, oh, okay. All right. So, because she drives a Lexus RX 450, and she was like, I want the Tesla. I said, okay, which one? The one that flies. They don't have any of those, Mom. Why not? You know.
The only one I'm aware of is somewhere near Mars right now, but it is free if you want to go pick it up.
I know, right? So.
Let's see here. We got a question. Let's see. How is you three current FUD level in all of the macro Twitter mess? And what big news is you guys big conviction that keeps you invested, or is that the whole package? I mean, for me, it's everything that is involved in the company itself. Just the fundamentals of the company. The FUD, I dive into most of the FUD, and it's mostly noise. And most of the stuff that is FUD out there has nothing to do with Tesla's fundamentals whatsoever.
I would agree entirely. The FUD that I see is all things like, autonomy is taking longer than he said. Yeah, that's true of everybody. Argo AI is shutting down. Comma AI has lost their founder as a company director. BMW gave up completely. Mercedes, I think, gave up completely. It's hard. Nissan was swearing for years that they would be done by 2020, and then they just quietly abandoned it in 2017-ish. And Waymo and Cruise still aren't there. And as much as that people like to say, yeah, but they are solved, they do run autonomously. No, they still have supervisors back at HQ, and they don't even go on the freeway. These aren't fully capable cars yet, despite the cajillions invested. It's so far impossible. So let's not blame him for just that. And why am I still invested? Because there are so many worlds left to conquer, and we're just getting started, and nobody executes like Tesla.
God, that is so true. I would say, so I tweeted out today something from Newsweek that I think it was like 63% of Americans approve of more stimulus checks to fight inflation. And I tweeted 63% of Americans don't understand how inflation works. So... And it's true. So that's where I think FUD comes from, is that people get scared and they don't understand things because they don't take the time to educate themselves about what's really going on. And they just make assumptions and they freak out, and maybe their finances are really tight, and maybe they got themselves in a hot place or something. And so they let a lot of their own personal biases affect how they feel about the company. I like to educate myself as much as humanly possible. And, I have a lot invested in the company. So I feel like it's my job to stay on top of what's going on. So I listen to the experts. I listen to like the Lex Friedman and Andre Karpathy interview was amazing. If you have not listened to it, listen to it. Listen to it as many times as you have to. They're very bullish. Okay. These guys are world-renowned experts, and they give these little clues, like they can't help but tell you. Same with Elon. They are so excited about what they're working on, and you can hear it in their voice. You can see it on their faces, and they straight said, like, they're very bullish on it. Like Andre was like, yeah, I'm totally confident it's happening, period, about FSD. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I believe it. And I've talked to as many experts as I can find. I'm not going to name names, but I will hunt them down and beg them to talk to me. I will listen to their lectures online, and I encourage everybody, like, just learn as much as you can about the subject matter. Like, it's fun. I don't know. I like going down a rabbit hole. I like learning new things. I've learned a lot about all different types of tech. And the more I know, the more confident I am that if anybody's going to do it, they are. They're extremely close. I think that our biggest hurdles are going to be regulation. But I feel like the way that politics are going in America, we're going to have a Elon friendlier political environment after 2024. And I think that it's not really going to be an issue. And if you can prove that full self-drive is safer than a human, which it already is, and then they're going to have this like massive amount of data, right? Like irrefutable amount of data that full self-drive is safer than a human. How would any government be able to rationalize not passing that, you know? And I understand people are like, oh, it's gotta, like, no one can ever die. And it's like, no, people die today. Like, we have to accept that sometimes lightning strikes. Like, it sucks, but if you are breathing, like, something can happen, you know, out of the norm. There is a certain level of risk in life. But if we can save lives with full self-drive, I mean, when I drive, I get so mad when I see people like texting and driving, and they're distracted and driving, and they're reaching for stuff, and they're trying to deal with their kids, and they're tired, and they're medicated. And driving has gotten so much worse over the last 10 years even. Like, if you think 10, 20 years ago how people drive and how they drive now when they're reading their emails going 80 miles an hour,
yeah,
we need cars to drive themselves.
Oh yeah, and
So,
I think the same thing. Like you said, you know, when it comes to Elon and when he says things, he's like a kid. He wants to tell the secrets to you, but he can't.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came to Twitter, that was something that came to my head. The light bulb that went off about Twitter is when they start doing. You know, Elon's going to have the free speech out there. We've already seen politicians out there right now getting fact checked. The White House got fact checked and took down their tweet. So we are seeing things like this going on right now. The most of the FUD that is put out there that is against full self-driving is mostly FUD and does not have fact behind it. Now we are going to have these facts out there. So when they do actually solve it in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to have facts and data that are going to support all of it. So when it comes to regulation, like you said, hey, by the way, here's all the facts and data to support it. You cannot deny it. And now you have no choice.
The fact check, that wasn't something new from Elon's team. That was already, you know, that was the system's already in place. Maybe they work, maybe they could work better. I didn't really follow it closely. Earlier, Jen was saying that everything Elon does is something that someone else does, but he does it better. And one of the FUDs that I love to see is people saying, no, he does the same things, but worse. So they say, well, the boring tunnel, great. You invented subways, but worse. Starlink, you invented the internet, but worse. But they're not. The boring tunnel is not a subway. It doesn't take the place of a subways are high volume. You can move 1 million people a day in subways. The boring tunnel is not designed to move 1 million people. It's in Vegas. They don't have 1 million people moving a day, not even on New Year's. Now on New Year's, it will be an absolute disaster. It'll be jam-packed, but so are the streets, so are the sidewalks, so is everything. And Starlink, it's the internet, but worse. Tell that to someone who doesn't have the internet. Tell that to someone whose only option is something that costs 10 times as much for the same thing, or 3 times as much for 1 gigabyte of data. I think my cousins had 5 gigabytes of data per month. 5 gigabytes. not terabytes, 5 gigabytes. So it was an email only service for them until they got Starlink, which was cheaper and better. And it's different. It's like, oh, you're destroying astronomy. No, you're not. I've talked to amateur astronomers at the fair. I talk to them every year because I love that stuff. And I asked them how much it impacts them. And they said, the one guy said, I don't even notice it. And another guy said, what are you asking about? I've never heard of this. So it is, you've got to look at the motivations behind the FUD and who pays for FUD, who pays for it. The answer is anyone with a business ripe for disruption by one of Elon's companies. So that's only all of auto, all of union, all of transportation, all of aerospace,
all utilities,
all of energy, all utility. The list is everything but pharmaceutical. It's the entire Fortune 500 except pharmaceutical.
And that was one of the things that was one of the things that Elon had said in the interview with Ron Barron today. Apparently, was he's like, I would like less companies who want me to die. Seriously, that's really what it is. He's disrupting humanity and how we operate. And people who compare companies, be like, Boring Company, is Subway but worse. It's like you put a kid on a bicycle for the first time. You think they're going to be a racer in the the French race with it? I don't know.
Tour de France.
Tour de France. Do you think they're going to be racing in that? No, the kids got training wheels on. So these companies that are just starting for Elon are companies that still, some of them may have training wheels right now. We haven't even hit their stride yet. You didn't see Usain Bolt get born and say, you know what, that guy is going to be the fastest man in the world. No, he wasn't even walking. He wasn't even crawling yet. So
how did he do anyway?
What?
How'd he do anyway? Oh yeah, pretty fast.
Yeah.
The boring tunnels. For the Vegas Convention Center, the next closest bid was $250 million for an above ground tram. They came in at $50 million and opened on time, on budget during lockdown. So, and it passes all the safeties. This is not designed to. It should have been a train, right? But a train would have trains typically cost something like $1 billion a mile underground. That's not in the budget. If that's the price tag, it's no solution is the only solution. So
and when it's fully executed, see, here's the thing is that Boring Company is not fully executed. When it's fully executed, Elon's complete dream is to go 3D and have multiple tunnels. So what you can do is, especially as a city, is you can start with 1 or 2 tunnels, which is very affordable. And Boring Company actually has a program where they fund the whole thing and then they can recoup the money through tolls. And so it could be no cost to cities, which is fantastic for taxpayers. And I believe the scheme actually works out quite well for Boring Company as well, where they're still profitable and everything. But you start with 1 tunnel, you alleviate some traffic. And then as that tunnel makes money, you build another tunnel. It's smart. It is the smart way to use money. It's the way that a household would use money because we have limitations and we can't just print more money like the government, which is a horrible idea. And we need to stop doing that. And we need to start looking at things in that nature, because as we are finding now, when we don't do that, we crash the world economy. We can't continue to do things the way that they've been doing them. And honestly, how well is our infrastructure right now? It's we have this aging infrastructure system that needs to be replaced. And can we really afford to be replacing these subway systems and everything with another subway system? It's not the best thing to do right now, And what's funny is take Tesla Energy, okay? We have the emerging markets, coming online, and all of Africa needs energy now, okay? And Brian pointed out, the price point to work with Tesla is amazing compared to anybody else. So if you look at the price of as Tesla solar field plus the Megapack, if you put that together and you put that against a coal plant for power, it's cheaper, it's less expensive to go with the Tesla products every time. So if you're starting from scratch, you're gonna want to do that, and it's green. It just also so happens to be green, which is fantastic. So that's a bonus. If you're worried about what's your priority, because Tesla hits every priority. That's what I don't understand is the people with the FUD, I'm but are you looking at any of the facts at all? Or are you just watching CNN? Like, what is going on with you? Because you know who pays CNN's bills? Ford and Pfizer. They're the ones who are telling them what to say. But if you look at the facts, the fact of the matter is it's less expensive. It's better for the environment. It looks better. It smells better. People are not going to be worried about living within half a mile of it, you know, and that's the entire continent of Africa.
And the fact is, even if you're getting 100% of your electricity from a coal-fired plant, not even of the new design, it still results in less emissions than if you just had a gas-powered plant in your automobile. So it's still a net win. And, you know, well, you know, what about all the mining of all these rare materials? Okay, everything is mined. Everything is mined, and batteries, unlike
you mine it once.
You're buying it once. It's recyclable. It is elements. It's not like plastic where a second generation of plastic isn't as good as the first. This is just elements, and elements remain elemental. And the reason you don't see large scale recycling yet, even though there are places that do it, is because the batteries are still in use.
You know, Brian, thank you so much for saying that. And thank you for bringing this up, because there's a company that I absolutely freaking love. It is called Comstock Mining. They had the oldest mining claim in America, and they sold off the gold and silver mines, and they converted the entire company to do two things. One is to recycle batteries, and then the other one was to make biodiesel. So I'm like, oh, you know, they're really modernizing, and that's fantastic. They have not made profits in a couple of years because they've been converting the company, so the stock's way down. But they have the patent that allows them. So before they figured it, and they didn't really figure it out, they bought a company that figured it out called Linico. And there's a great video on their website, if anybody wants to go watch it, that explains how it works. But Linico figured out how to take us from 96% recyclable to 99% recyclable. It was like 94% recyclable to 99% recyclable, because they figured out how to recapture the lithium. You could not recapture lithium before. And so that was the big deal about lithium mining. We need more lithium, because I want to say, like, lithium and a lithium ion battery is a small percentage, actually. I understand it's in the name. And people are like, but it's in the name. It's like 6% of the battery or something.
Yeah, it's 26 kilograms in a Model Y. Okay. So it's like 50 pounds out of a 800-pound battery. It's very low.
There we go. See, it's not a huge amount. So, but you still need it. And then if you're recycling batteries and you can't recapture the lithium, then it's like, oh, we do have to keep getting lithium. Although lithium is like, there's a lot, it's everywhere. You're tripping over lithium, trust me. It's everywhere. We have lithium mines in the United States. Now, it would be great if we remove some of the barriers to mining, because I know that there's a company right now that's trying to get permits in North Carolina, and those locals in North Carolina ain't having it. I get it. Not my backyard. I understand that, but
also Utah and New Mexico. No, there's a few others.
Michigan's got one
and you
now,
know, and Tesla already has mining rights in Nevada. Like, they already have a ton of land and mining rights and a factory. Like, they're already set up. So when people are like, oh, well, they're getting into mining, and that means that, like, they're not being able to lower their cost as well. No, they are vertically integrated. They've been vertically integrating the whole time. So I don't know why you're worried about that they're mining. Like, that's a good thing. But they, you know, Tesla could buy Comstock. I've tried to pitch this to Tesla. I keep trying to tweet to them. They're not listening to me. So it's only $40 million is the market cap. And they just sold $20 million worth of real estate. So they have $20 million in cash, and the market cap's $40 million. Like, somebody please buy this company. But not financial advice.
And it's actually down to 31 million today.
Somebody buy it.
Yes, and I know for me, like, and Tesla's going to get into lithium refining, so that would make a lot of sense for them to get it.
They're in Nevada, so they got their permits to recycle batteries. Battery recycling is like highly regulated and really hard to get permits for. And but they already had the mines from gold and silver mining. They already had they had the land that they needed. There's a whole talk. They have videos. Go watch their videos. So they had everything. They're all set up to recycle. But Brian's 100% correct. There's no batteries to recycle yet. Like, where are the batteries? And Tesla gets their batteries back.
Yeah. And Redwood Materials is already working on recycling as well. So we know that they're going to partner because they've already talked about it. So
and there's plants in Europe that are already recycling also.
Yep.
Right. So all the people with the you got to mine. I'm like, you got to mine it once, but you got to keep pulling that oil out of the ground. You got to keep pulling that coal out of the ground. And we have to, right now, we have to send humans to get the coal. And then it's like every year you hear about there's a mine collapse. There's miners stuck in the coal mine. People get sick from mining coal. It's not great. We should still do it until it's completely replaced, though. I'm with Elon on that. And when people are like, you're anti-oil, blah, blah, no. Keep the oil flowing. I don't want to be dependent on another country, but and also we should do this clean stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And there's so many novel uses for fossil fuels that cannot yet be replaced by anything else.
Yeah.
Also in terms of biochemistry, you can make things out of oil, and yet we're setting it on fire. I mean, of all the things to do with a precious resource, that seems kind of the silliest to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts. I don't know, man. And
you know what I'm thinking about right now as we're talking. I'm so glad we're having this talk. You guys are awesome. So I'm thinking about, what the biggest flipping problem is the misinformation.
Yes.
Right? It's all these traditional media sources that have been corrupted, and they're spewing out all this misinformation. And Twitter is an information platform. And I can see Elon making it also a news source and everything for good, solid information, and having that fact checking so that people can really trust that it is, a good news source. And it's not, all these news networks that nobody trusts any of them anymore.
Yeah, well, I think the problem too is, you get to mainstream media and it's no different than this. It's clickbait headlines. And unfortunately, there's so many people who don't take the time and due diligence to research or even read the article. They read the headline, they make assumptions. We've seen plenty of articles out there that'll have Tesla in the headline, but you read the article and none of it actually had to do with Tesla. But because Tesla is the hot thing, that is what people are going to read. They read that headline and assume, oh, Tesla on fire, that's a big problem. And then you actually read it, and that's not the story.
Yeah. The first thing I tell people when they're like, well, but the Tesla batteries, they catch on fire. I said, hold on. Okay, there's 3 million Teslas out there. How many have you seen on fire? How many videos have you seen on fire? I don't want to hear you read that they were on fire. How many have you personally seen that are on fire? They're like, none. I'm like, okay. Don't you feel like if they were all catching on fire all the time, you would see one?
Ever.
And they were like, oh, I guess so. And I'm like,
Because I'll tell you.
Do you think they're lying to you maybe?
When I was commuting in the 90s, I wouldn't go a full month without seeing a Volkswagen bus on fire. Oh, yeah. And I'm not even exaggerating. Those things would just go up like crazy. Apparently there was some kind of cooling issue with the design. But the FUD I've seen as well, after the hurricane, all of the Teslas caught on fire. It's like, well, first of all, anything you submerge in salt water is going to have a problem. And any car that has a battery, which FYI, all cars have batteries, is going to have a problem. You can, if you go on YouTube and look for just seawater cars on fire, you will find tons of videos. You'll find articles about it, because you submerge a vehicle in salt water, it's going to have some fuego issues.
Well, yeah, and that has something to do with the battery composition and everything, with the electrolytes in it, because batteries have electrolytes in them, and so it has to do with the chemistry of batteries. You're right, it's a battery thing.
Yeah.
But one problem you're not going to have with Teslas, and I did want to bring this, it just popped in my head. These things happen. Somebody correct me on this, because I don't know yet, because I don't have my Tesla yet. I ordered it. It's not here, so I can't look under the Tesla. But let me tell you a problem we just had with our Ram 2500. The squirrels ate our fuel lines.
I've heard problems in Teslas with some kind of rodent. I don't know. I think it's an older issue. There was some part they were using that the rodents just found delicious. But I haven't heard about it lately.
Aren't they sealed though? Aren't Teslas
it wasn't in the
water?
battery? It wasn't in the battery. It was some component. Somebody in the comments will have to check us on this, but there was some.
But I think with the casting, because now they're casting them and everything. But I'm under the impression that there's nothing to see on the underside. Maybe I'm wrong, because we have electric motors. We don't have a combustible engine. The engine doesn't have to breathe. Doesn't require any oxygen. So we shouldn't have anything exposed. I don't know. We're going to have to ask people and find out. Maybe someone can let us know, and then we can give everybody the answer on the ladies' night. Because I want to know, because this was a $600 problem of the squirrels ate our fuel lines.
So June of 2021, rodents chow down on Teslas, causing thousands in damage, eating internal wiring.
Oh, how did they get in?
If your car has, I mean, they can get in. They get in the same way fresh air gets in.
Yeah,
and if it's just the wiring, just get under the hood and just get anywhere.
And I don't know if with the structural pack, if it'll be different, because obviously seeing with Sandy Monroe, how the entire bottom can just drop out now. I don't know if the access points are different for rodents going forward. Obviously, we don't have structural packs.
Well, I don't think it was the high voltage wiring. It was the low voltage stuff, the blinker wires and whatnot.
It's warm and tasty.
Yeah. Do you know about the fireproof design for safety when the battery does catch fire? The top plate of the pack is steel and the bottom plate is aluminum. The aluminum has a lower melting point. So when the batteries are on fire, the bottom will break out and all the cells fall out.
That's
awesome.
They can
actually be extinguished.
That's really nice. And you know what I have seen a lot of on Twitter? I've seen a lot of people thanking Elon because there was a major incident, a major crash where like somebody else hit them head on or something, and their spouse lived, their kids lived, whatever.
Yeah.
Because Teslas are the safest car on earth, which is amazing. I see a lot of that. Now, how's everybody living if the car just catches on fire randomly all the time? I mean, like they're in major accidents and they're not bursting into flames. So obviously it takes a lot to get these cars on fire.
Yeah. And one of the things I've talked about too in the past is, you know, I work in retail, and when you're in a place, and same thing at your house, you know, you walk around and sometimes there's something there that's out of place, but it's the norm. You see it all the time. So it doesn't even faze you. You don't even notice that it's out of place. Right now, there's so many other vehicles, ICE vehicles on the road. Car fires these days are such the norm. They don't even make headlines. They don't even get spoken about in the news. It's just, hey, there's a car fire that's causing traffic on the side of the road. That's all you're ever going to hear about it. You get no headlines because it's just the norm. It's like, why did we accept cars bursting into flames as the norm?
I have never in my life seen a car fire, I feel like.
I've seen a couple. And I mean,
maybe once I have. And I live like right off of 95 pretty much. So, you know, because that's like the vein of life on the East Coast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I, you know, I don't see a ton of car fires. There are not a million cars on fire. It's just the mainstream media because they're being fed by the OEMs and Big Pharma, but Big Pharma doesn't care yet because Elon hasn't messed with them yet.
Yeah. And it's coming. We'll see. But
I mean, I don't know. I think he's just going to everything. He's just be like all the things.
And that's what's going to happen. And that's just the nature of disruption. You know, Sandy Monroe talked about it when it comes to the Luddites. You know, when Ford was coming in and they were switching over to cars from horse and buggy, they had the same thing back then. Obviously, less people, didn't have social media, didn't have the internet. So FUD being spread was a little bit different. But you still had literal people with pitchforks going out there trying to stop this from happening because they didn't want their lives disrupted. That's how humans work.
People just don't like change. Yeah, it's just very true. But, you know, if you think about it, like, life is probably better now than it was. I don't know. That's hard to say. I really miss indoor malls. But I'm like, I miss the late 90s. Oh, but, you know, I think the disruption thing is why Andrej Karpathy left. So hear me out. This is my theory. So, okay, JB Straubel left to solve a problem that could not be solved inside a Tesla. And that was the battery recycling, because battery recycling was like too risky. It was too big. It was too much to do inside a Tesla because Tesla was still in its infancy when he left. I mean, he left in like 2012, didn't he?
What happened to your audio?
When did JB Straubel leave Tesla?
What happened to your audio, Jen?
To make redwood materials.
What happened to your audio?
Uh-oh. I don't know.
I mean, I can hear you. It's just not what it was.
It sounded
before.
like your audio switched from your good mic to your onboard mic.
I don't know. I did nothing.
It sounds like you're in a phone booth.
I mean,
it sounds like you're an executive at Tesla on an earnings call.
No!
You're using Tesla tech. It's great.
It's the way of the future.
You know what it is? They were like, don't tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm right.
You've gotten too close.
Hey, you can go. We can still hear you. Go ahead. Share it.
Okay, I'm going to get closer to the phone. All right, so this is what I think is happening.
This is the secret now.
This is the secret. So I think that Elon sent JB Straubel out to go figure out battery recycling, right? I think he's doing the same thing with Andre, because obviously Andre loves Tesla. He said he would come back, but he left because he misses teaching. Now, what did Elon say he wanted to do? He wanted to make, the Texas Institute of Technology and Science, TITS. And he wants to disrupt education. He already disrupted education with the school that his kids go to at Astra. Education's a huge business in the United States. I mean, I used to work for a private university, and I know exactly what goes into that. And I remember us getting approved to like take federal loans and everything, and it's big money. And it's really messed up too, honestly, because like we had to pay a consultant in DC like an astronomical amount of money to even be able to like get all the paperwork in, and you just have to pay to play. It's crazy. And then you have to have like staff that all they do is deal with the federal loan program. Like you have to add an entire department. So of course this adds cost to education, and then the federal government says like, well, we'll loan this much money, and then all the schools are like, that's what we're going to charge. And then the federal government's like, oh, well, we'll loan more money next year. And the schools are like, cool, we're going to charge that too, you know? And so it's never good when the government's involved, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
So your sound is back, by the way. You sound wonderful.
Your audio's back in. I don't know what happened.
Oh, good. See, I'm telling you, they were like, she's going to tell them anyways. Just give her a mic back.
We'll see what she's saying and decide.
Right. And so, you know, I just felt like what Andre's excuse for leaving Tesla just sounded really like, I don't think so, bro. They would have fixed that.
It like a high schooler's excuse as to why they weren't home. And
I just thought, like Omar said, that he was taking some time off to raise his twins with Elon.
I don't know. Elon's only real competition right now is what's his name, who just had his 12th kid. Nick Cannon just had his 12th kid.
Wow.
That's Elon's only real competition right now.
Oh, you mean for like kid count?
Yeah, because he's got 12 now. So Elon's only got 9. He's got to pick up.
Well, you know what Elon says? The best part is no part. The best procedure is no procedure. And the best kid is 9 kids. Pretty sure that's right.
Yes, something like that. And, you know, and I thought about it with Twitter too. So if Andre is going to be doing the whole teaching thing and working on that, I can definitely see Twitter becoming an educational platform as well and totally disrupting education.
Oh, big time. Because how many schools had to go onto Zoom? Because like we had to go on a Zoom here in Virginia. And that was a Chev thing. So Chev is the State Council of Higher Education, Virginia. Woot, woot. So Chev said we had to do that. The governor said that so I taught massage. I was the director of massage therapy at the school. And so, you know, so we were under the regulations that massage therapists had to be under, which is under the Board of Nursing. And then we were under the Chev stuff. And so everything had to go online. And a lot of schooling is online these days. And I know Elon has been saying there's just not enough engineers. We need more engineers. And I remember why I started teaching massage is I needed to make more massage therapists in my image. I wanted to go to a really great massage therapist. And so I was like, I'll start teaching. And well, when I was offered the job, I was like, yes, I will do this because then I will make more mini-me's. And I think he's thinking the same thing. It's like, we will make our own engineers. I will make the engineers that I want at TITS. Oh my God, I can't wait. Not wait until this school happens.
Yep.
But I think it's really going to disrupt schools. And I think he may even do it in a way where companies can sponsor people or so that the student loans kind of change in a certain way because schooling has become really unaffordable and it's not sustainable the way that it is. And I get that, you know, we just need to get government out of school basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was exactly the first thing I thought of. I was like, when he announced the potential of the school, even as a joke, think about how vertically integrated Tesla is overall right now. What is the only thing that they don't have vertically integrated? Their talent. Mm-hmm. So if they create a school where they can vertically integrate their talent as well, I mean, it makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially because these kids are bright. Like, I've got Karav. He's one of my subscribers. He's brilliant. He's like Troy Test. Like, kid's 15. He's awesome. And like getting talent like that at a younger age, traditional schooling right now, they're losing on so many years. Like, you've got 7 years of lost time on these kids because you're forcing them to go through what we do traditionally, which isn't the best way to teach kids now.
It depends where you are,
True.
on educate. Like the school district that we're in, the schools are fantastic. I went to these schools. They're amazing for public school. But not all public schools are the same. And then and I went to like Montessori for early education. That's huge. Like, why aren't we doing that for all children? It's a style of teaching.
Yeah. If we can give private education for a public education price, why not?
Right. Exactly. So, I think you're right. I mean, that we know what the best education is. We're supposed to be the best country in the world. Like, that's what we tell ourselves. That's what we tell everybody else. Prove it. Why don't we have the best education? And I know that at Astra, Elon's school for his kids is supposedly, it's very fantastic. So, he has been at this education game for quite some time. And it's not just his kids, it's his kids and it's some of the executives' kids from his companies as well. So, it's not brand new for him. He's probably been thinking about it for a little while. I would not be surprised if that's what Karpathy's going to do for a little while. I hope it is. And then that he does get to go back to Tesla because he's so bright. And not only is he bright, he's really excited about what he's doing. And I think that both those things need to exist for like really amazing things to happen. And you can hear it from him and you can hear it from Lex Friedman. And I think they're both working on stuff for Elon and I'm really excited.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm thinking with Andre, now that you're talking about it, maybe he's coming up with the whole framework that is needed for teaching AI, because that's what he was talking about. If he's coming up with the whole framework for that, and then as soon as it's ready to get released back into Tesla, when they've gotten further along with the Optimus, then, hey, here comes Tits. Andre is going to lead that whole entire side of the company to bring the technology and the engineers in. Done. That's perfect. I mean, Elon plays a 4D chess game that none of us can talk about. Here you go, Jen. Big Pharma was silencing you.
They were. Thank you. They totally were. Big Pharma hates me. I hate Big Pharma.
So, Tim, I'm going to need to pop out here.
Yes.
I've got my live stream coming up in about 2.5 hours at 7 p.m. Pacific.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, Brian.
Yeah, on my second channel, My Tesla Live. It was great chatting with you, Jennifer.
It was so nice.
Before, and I'm sure I will see you guys again. I think, is it next week or the week after? I'm not going to be around on Friday because I'm going to be going down. So not next Friday, but the next Friday. I'm going to be going down to the museum, in the Peterson Museum in LA for the Tesla event that's being held there. So I will finally get to see a Roadster and a Cybertruck truck.
Ooh, very nice.
I had a chance to see them in person and very excited about that.
Awesome.
Take pictures for us, please.
I think I'll remember to do that.
You may have your camera with you.
I may remember to bring it. So wonderful. And thank you guys for having me on. And I will see you guys not too long in the future. And thanks everybody for viewing. And I'll see you later, Tim.
Yes, sir. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye, Brian. Oh, yeah, he was fun. I like him.
Oh yes, Brian's awesome. Yeah, he had me on his channel with James Stevenson. That was a great conversation too.
Oh wow. Yes. Very cool.
Yeah, we had a good time. Let me see what else we've gotten here for some comments. So talking about induced traffic demand problem. I don't know what's going to happen with. I think so. The strange thing for me when it comes to traffic is Elon was talking about the robotaxis and how when you get autonomy out there, we're actually going to have less vehicles on the road. Just because why would you want to have your own vehicle when you could pay less to have a vehicle drive you? So it makes a lot of sense to do it that way. And so we'll actually have less vehicles on the road. So I don't know how that's going to affect Tesla's sales in the future. But
I don't know about that because I've heard Dave Lee make a different argument. And I think it makes a lot of sense. So families with children, they are going to want to leave their car seats in their cars. And car seats are a beast to install. Most people don't install their own car seats. I don't know if everybody knows this. There's probably a lot of single men out there that don't have car seats. I'm going to tell you right now, you have to go to the fire department. The
police
fire
department. We went to the police
department people
department, yeah.
install your car seats. It's true. I didn't know this. I'm an aunt. I'm not a mom. And when my sister had kids and then the car seat debacle and my mom has car seats installed in her car, and I'm like, this is crazy. And if I have to take my nieces, I have to take somebody else's car. Like, I can't take my own car.
Yeah.
So, and then you don't want to put your kids in like rental car seats. That would be weird. Especially, it depends how clean your kids are. I don't know. I'm not going to say which in-law it is. I love all my in-laws so much. They're fantastic. But I shouldn't even say but. When they were small, okay, when the 3 children were small, they would wreck my one brother-in-law's truck to the point where, like, he would take the children out and then he would, like, take apart the car seats. You can take pieces off of it and, like, hose the truck out. Like that level. You can't do that in a rental car. So, you know, you're laughing because Tim's laughing because he's like, I can kind of understand that, you know.
I have a
like,
kid.
why was McDonald's giving children yogurt?
I just remember the time we had my son, and we had just we went to the grocery store and he wanted something to drink. So we got him milk. That didn't go well. It did not go well at all. And now it hit me later on in life. Like, the kid would never drink milk and I never knew why. And then I remembered that night and I was like, oh, that's probably why he never wanted milk again.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, so like with families, or like, what if you're like into sports and you want to leave yourself? What if you want to leave your golf clubs in your car? Like, a lot of, I don't know. People are like about their car. And then there's certain like groups in America, cultural groups that are really into their cars. Like, cars are a big thing in their culture. So, you know, it's like, get out of your culture, think about other cultures. And I think there's still going to be a big demand for vehicles.
You know, that actually would be a good Twitter poll to put out there is, you know, would you be willing to, you know, ride share and ride hail versus having your own car? You know, what would your preference be?
I think families, I think everybody probably is still going to have like at least one car that they own, and then maybe they might ride share for other stuff. Like, I don't know, I could see us doing, I would be comfortable with that. I don't know. My husband still would probably not.
Yeah. And I can almost see, you know, families, instead of having 2 vehicles, maybe getting one, because for cost savings, maybe they're like, hey, we have one vehicle for when we can do family stuff. And then for commuting back and forth to work, we're going to have one that we can drive. And then the other person could just, you know, ride hail, and that's fine. So that could be the future.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. And when I know we discussed this too, you really believe the GOP will be easier for Musk? You're delusional. I see them banning autonomy, canceling SpaceX contracts, pushing dealership models, and harassing I don't think they're going to go that bad.
No.
You know, thinking about the fact that I think they're not against Elon. They're just not for him. They kind of just like, all right, do your thing. They're not going to get in his way, but they're not going to help him either.
I don't even know about that, because when Trump was president, he was pretty pro Elon. I don't know if everybody remembers. It's only since he's not president, and I really think it's kind of just a show, because they're both very ridiculed, and I think if they're openly friendly, they're going to have problems. They share a lot of the same friends. And I think you really have to look at what was said when Trump was president. And then also canceling SpaceX contracts, that's never going to happen. SpaceX freed us from being dependent on Russia. And do you think we're going back to that? No, there's no way. We could not get to the International Space Station. We couldn't get into space without Russia before SpaceX. Do you really think after the Ukraine business that we're going to go back to Russia? You think that's
think about how much money we're saving, and you know the GOP is all about saving money. So
right, you know, and we are saving money. That's true, also. But the optics on that. Why on earth would you cancel on an American company that, you're right, Tim, is saving us a ton of money, because you got hurt feelings over something, and we're going to go back to Russia, to giving Russia money? No, we're not doing that. So, you know, I don't think that's going to happen. And also, Biden has been so anti-Elon that the GOP's coming around, I think.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that, because I almost think that because Biden is so anti-Elon, the GOP is going to be like, well, we're going to be pro-Elon just because that's how they play their games. But I think either way, because Elon doesn't care about either side, he's in the middle. So because of Twitter, it'll balance the whole thing out. So it's not like either political party is going to be able to sway things either way. It'll be the public's perception. The public is going to say, we see what we want. You're going to have to give it to us because we see the truth.
Well, I think because of Twitter, they're going to kind of want to be his friend, because I think Twitter is going to, I mean, Twitter's already one of the largest platforms anyways. It's like Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And so they're already going to want to garner favor. And I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure what they're doing right now at Twitter is they are mining for gold, and they're finding all of the evidence of the White House and a certain administration asking Twitter to deplatform American citizens and silence them and stuff. I think that's all going on. And so the GOP is going to want all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we see over the next few months that I think is going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let's see what else we got in the comments here. See, this is actually a good one too. Put an Optimus chip at every stoplight. So I know Elon, somebody had asked him about that, about, putting AI in traffic control, and it really should be. And thinking about like further down the road, when we're way down the road and we don't even have human drivers on the road anymore, everything is autonomous. The cars are going to be communicating with each other as well. So this car over here knows, hey, I'm going at this speed coming to this intersection, and there's other cars coming to this intersection at the same speed. So what do we need to do to adjust things? You could probably eliminate a lot of traffic lights altogether at that point. But in the meantime, it's going to be a rough transition. So getting AI put into traffic lights alone, the traffic lights will then tie into the vehicle. So the traffic light is like, all right, I see this vehicle is going to be coming to me in a mile, but this other vehicle is going to come to me in a half a mile. I'm going to turn the light green on this side for this vehicle, and then we'll flip it to the other one for that one. So both cars are going to have green lights as soon as they get there. I can definitely see that happening.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Well, and you can platoon the vehicles. So like when you're on the interstate, I mean, why not go faster, closer together? I mean, not super, super close, but it's going to be a lot safer.
That was,
if you've got a bunch of cars that are all going in the same direction. Like when I go up to New York to visit family and I just want to like be in the left lane going kind of fast, and somebody wants to go 5 under in the left lane, and I'm losing my mind behind them. I'm like, what are you doing? Some of us are trying to break the law for real, like get out of the way. But Germany really spoiled me. Oh my God.
Yeah, the Autobahn.
I miss the Autobahn so much. But yeah, it's like all that nonsense, all the nonsense that you find on the interstate of like, no, go around me. Like I can be here. Nonsense is going to be gone. And I think that's what causes a lot of the traffic.
That was one of the first things that I had said when it came to full self-driving was the stress level is going to drop in the world, just because you don't have so much stress just from driving. Like when you remove that, that's going to be a huge game changer. And thinking about the speed, I thought about this too. When cars are all autonomous, it's like a bullet train. Once they came up with the technology that said, hey, this train can go significantly faster because it's safe enough to go that speed, cars are going to be the same way. As soon as we get to the point where we have every car is autonomous on the road, you can go 150, 200 miles an hour on the road because the cars can do that safely because they have the technology to do it.
Well, and that's the thought with the boring tunnels too, is that, you're going to be able to travel really fast. They're going to disrupt domestic airline travel. So we're not going to need, flights anymore, because you can just travel in the safety and comfort of your own vehicle, like bring your own stuff. It was so funny because I saw a tweet from somebody I want to say it was somebody in Tesla that was asking like, well, what features don't you have in your Tesla that you would like? And I was like, a fridge.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, because that brings me back to what we were talking about before when we're disrupting technology. And it's like, if you're going to be remodeling a house, are you going to remodel your house from the 70s with the same 70s shag carpet, the same green fridge, the same old sink? No, you're going to get new updated stuff. Why are we doing that with our infrastructure? Why are we going to update it with the same old crap that we had before and not put new, better technology in it? It makes no sense.
It really doesn't. And I do really love the boring tunnels, because then you can recapture all the land that, roads are especially highways. Like I can see, of course, like neighborhood streets and stuff because people walk them, it connects people, it makes community and stuff like that. But interstates, like we don't need interstates, and they do take up a lot of space. If you think about how wide they are, and then you have medians and on-ramps and everything and all that. And if you could recapture all that, first of all, you're going to recapture way more land than you need for solar panels to power the entire world. So when people are like, oh, solar panels, they take up so much space. No, they don't. But you could make that parks, you could make that low income housing. I mean, there's so much that we could do with that. Tunnels are awesome. And there's no weather in tunnels.
Exactly. And the fact that there's so many people against it drives me insane. I'm like, can you not see how this is going to help humanity in the future? Like,
I think they're against it because they don't understand it, Tim. Yeah. That's the problem. And that's why we're here to help people understand, remove the fear, give the education.
Right. And that's you're so right, because the people who are against it are the people who are going to lose out. And to me, that is a huge red flag. When there's somebody who I can see clearly this technology is going to be cheaper, safer, cleaner, and better for humanity in the future, and you're against it, when you have the power and ability to support it, that's a problem. That's a red flag to me.
You're so right that you say that, because it's true. It's like in the end, if you just look 10 years in the future and you look at the people that are just, being like, oh, Tesla, negative. And then you look at us, right? And we're investing in the company. We're learning what we can. We're investing in the company. And 10 years from now, we're going to be very well off. And they will not have made those same investments. And they're not going to be in the same space that we are. They will have lost out. And that's unfortunate, because it would be really wonderful for the tide to rise all boats. I mean, I would love for everybody that is, within my hearing distance and within my circles and everything to come with me. I don't want to be on the yacht by myself. It's boring. It is so boring to be unburdened by yourself.
Yeah. And from your yacht, we're going to take my helicopter to my castle, and we need people to be on that to enjoy the ride.
Yes.
Oh, man. Well, we've been on for an hour and a half, so we are going to get off of here because it's bedtime for many people, including myself, because even though it's Friday night, I'm an early riser.
You've been up for a long time.
Yes, since 3:30 a.m. every morning. It's awesome. So I'm very much looking forward. Thank you for coming on tonight, Jen. This has been fantastic. This is a good little prelim to everybody seeing us at Ladies Night. So again, everybody, Ladies Night we will be having this Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We will have Jen. We'll have Alexandra, Tesla Boomer Mama, and Eva McMillan on here. Jen, I love your shirt. I did notice that. I did not wear mine, but
see, make babies not bombs. Hold on, let me move my hair. There we go. See there we go. Make babies not bombs.
So, and for those of you who don't know, Jen and I are working on this. This weekend, I'm going to try to get it into the merch store. I've been shut down twice now because of the wording or whatever. So I've got to work with them to get these up there. But we're trying to raise money to help the families over in Ukraine. So I will put mine on Tuesday so you guys can see that as well. And as soon as I actually get the merch store to allow this, I will let you guys know, and we will start raising funds. Yes. So otherwise, thank you, Jen, so much. We will see all of you guys later. Thank you.
Bye, guys.